Український центр оцінювання якості освіти, незалежне тестування фахових знань та вмінь учителів іноземної мови.
This is the listening test of the independent test of professional knowledge and skills of foreign language teachers. There are 3 tasks for the test. For each task of the test, there will be time for you to look through the questions and time for you to check your answers. At the start of each piece, you will hear this sound. You will have time at the end of the test to copy your answers onto the answer sheet. And while you are listening, you can write your answers on the question paper in the testing notebook. Now, open your testing notebooks and look at Task 1, questions 1 to 6. You will listen to 2 recordings. There are 8 statements for each recording in this task. For each recording, select 3 correct answers from the 8 options offered. Now you have 10 seconds to look at 8 statements for questions 1, 2, and 3. Now we are ready to start. Listen carefully. You will hear the recording only once.
This is the 6 o'clock World News for Sunday, 20th of April. And first, the headlines. More than 1,000 tornadoes sprout up across the United States in the average year. The National Weather Service and the Storm Prediction Center have released a map of tornado epicenter forecasts for the spring and summer months in areas where tornadoes are most common, the Deep South, as well as some parts of the Great Plains and Midwest. The world's biggest luxury watch manufacturers gather beneath one sprawling roof at the annual Watches and Wonders trade show in Geneva this week. One of Switzerland's longest-running horologists, Vacheron Constantin, marks its 270th birthday with the most complicated wristwatch ever made. Cult American designer Rick Owens transformed his Paris Fashion Week set into an industrial dystopian futurescape on Thursday. And singer FKA Twigs brings a dystopian chic to Paris as she arrived at the show with a part-shaven bouffant, signature bleached eyebrows, and an array of presumably temporary face tattoos. Rats don't always have the best reputations. But one African giant rat named Ronan with a super sense of smell is working to change that. Ronan and his mind-sniffing rat pack have become famous around the world for saving innocent civilians from hidden explosives. Archaeologists discovered the massive limestone burial chamber of a royal, which has multiple rooms and a decorated entryway, in January in Abydos, Egypt. Grave robbers had damaged the hieroglyphic text painted on bricks at the entryway, leaving the name of the buried person unreadable.
Now you have 10 seconds to look at 8 statements for questions 4, 5, and 6. Now we are ready to start. Listen carefully. You will hear the recording only once.
We are glad to welcome you to our program, Travel Around the World. Today we are going to talk about the best holiday destinations for 2026, from cruising through India in January to an unspoiled Indian Ocean island stay in December. This calendar of new trips will make travel planning for all budgets a breeze. And now, about the main topics of today's broadcast.
In January, for an epic start to the new year, pack a bag and join a 51-day voyage along 27 river systems through 5 states and 2 countries, from Varanasi in India to Dibrugarh via Dhaka in Bangladesh, aboard the new 18-suite riverboat, the Ganga Vilas, to explore the temples, villages, crafts, and weaving traditions.
From the seafaring city of Porto, Portugal's River of Gold, the Douro, winds through craggy green landscapes dotted with port houses until it reaches the Spanish border. Douro ships only sail during daytime, so you'll never miss any sights. The most unusual vessel on the river is the Spirit of Chartwell, used as the royal barge during the 2012 Diamond Jubilee celebration on the Thames.
This new winter break is based at Tatranska Lomnica, a snowshore resort in Slovakia's High Tatra Mountains. It's a small recreation area amid spectacularly jagged summits and comes with activities such as winter walking tours in the highlands, dog sledding, downhill and cross-country skiing, and an overnight stay in a mountain hut by a frozen lake.
A new Santa Barbara de Nex walking festival launches in February. 3 days of free guided hikes along 3 themed circuits: wells and fountains, stonecutters, and folk remedies, focusing on the cultural traditions of the pre-concrete Algarve. Expect accordion music, poetry, craft and crochet workshops, and yoga and meditation sessions in the most unexpected places.
New for 2026 from the single traveler specialist Your Holidays is this 9-night escorted tour of Oman. You'll find the very best of Arab hospitality here on an itinerary that takes you from a sunset cruise along the Muscat coast to a swim in the turquoise waters of the Bima sinkhole, a tour of the Sur shipyards, a night under the stars in the desert, and the Nizwa Souk, the best place in Oman to buy textiles.
That is the end of Task 1. Now, turn to Task 2, Questions 7 to 12. You will listen to 3 recordings. There are 2 questions for each recording in this task. For each question, choose the correct answer, A, B, or C. Now you have 10 seconds to look at questions 7 and 8. Now we are ready to start. Listen carefully. You will hear the recording only once.
Most of the earliest written languages that humans invented were derived from pictures. These include the first known writing systems in Uruk over 5,000 years ago, incised in cuneiform clay tablets, as well as ancient Egyptian and Mayan writing systems. Over time, the symbols became more abstract to the point that a modern observer would have little idea of what the symbols represent. Some of the writing systems that evolved from pictographs are still in wide use today, most notably Chinese. Alphabetic writing systems like Latin and English grew out of a need to represent speech sounds rather than objects and ideas. These kinds of written languages date back to no more than 4,000 years ago. Pictures have some advantages over the syllabic writing systems we are used to. Instead of referring to sounds in an essentially arbitrary way, pictures refer to the world. As such, they require no learning and no translation. A crucial challenge for getting a language system to catch on is that everyone who uses it has to agree ahead of time what each symbol means or sounds like. Pictures solve this problem. I suspect that pictures served as a scaffolding of spoken language for a long time before the formalization of writing systems. On every continent except Antarctica, outstanding depictions of animals and other parts of nature have been found that are more than twice as old as the earliest writing systems. Some date back almost 100,000 years. One hint that these Paleolithic pictures could have supported language was that they were closely attuned to the fine details of the natural world, especially the natural cycles of time. Perhaps our first complex utterances were ones that related to the changing of the seasons and the reproductive cycles of prey animals that followed these changes. But making a good picture, let alone a spectacularly detailed and lifelike painting, takes a long time. Instant recognition comes at the expense of speed. At least this was the case until the internet age. Emojis take all the effort out. You get a symbol with a universally understood meaning, but without having to draw it yourself. In addition, Emojis, as their name implies, convey emotion in ways that are more difficult and laborious to accomplish with words. So in a way, writing has returned to its roots. Similarly, the idea of scrolling on a web page or app harks back to the unspooling of ancient papyrus or parchment scrolls. Emojis are becoming increasingly popular, but the drawback of them is that they have not yet been collated into a universally agreed-upon dictionary. There exists an Emojipedia, but it is not widely used. Perhaps the next evolution of the language of emoji will come when people systematize their meanings and put them into a kind of logical order, maybe even one where each emoji symbol takes on a new sound. In doing so, the whole process of building syllabic language from pictographs may begin again.
Now you have 10 seconds to look at questions 9 and 10. Now we are ready to start. Listen carefully. You will hear the recording only once.
My name is Audrey. I'm an experienced English language teacher and academic manager with a passion for transforming education. A lifelong student and a reflective classroom practitioner, I actively look for ways to develop my skill set and help others do the same. This book came into my life at a time when I felt lost. I wasn't sure what I wanted my career to look like in the future, although I knew I did not want to leave education. Reading the book raised many questions about me as an educator, and at the same time, it reminded me why I decided to become a teacher in the first place. Reading the stories and doing the reflection tasks helped me find myself again and regain my passion for education. Being a Teacher by Cooker, Cotton, and Toft is a book for teachers, about teachers, from teachers. The book promises to engage educators with an interest in international education, and it delivers on its promise. The personal style of writing makes it easy to read. However, the journal-like nature and the prompting questions mean that you need to take your time with it. The personal accounts and reflections make the book enjoyable to read, while the reflection questions help the reader get to the bottom of their own beliefs about what it means to be a teacher. There is no point in rushing through this book. Otherwise, you miss out on the meaningful parts. This is a title I highly recommend to in-service teachers as well as to those considering becoming teachers. Everyone with an interest in education will get something out of this book. Pre-service teachers will benefit from reading the stories of experienced educators and reflecting on their own beliefs before they form their own practice. In-service teachers, on the other hand, might enjoy challenging their existing views and reflecting on their own practice. Written and contributed to by experienced educational professionals, it also inspires teachers by celebrating the best this profession offers.
Now you have 10 seconds to look at questions 11 and 12. Now we are ready to start. Listen carefully. You will hear the recording only once.
When NBC debuted its musical melodrama series Smash, the thought on the theater-going public's mind was, will they bring this to Broadway? When the series was cancelled after 2 seasons, the question shifted to, when will they bring this to Broadway? And over the years, rumors have abounded and glimpses of possibility have shone, like either a concert of Bombshell, or the show within the series, or a fully staged Smash workshop. Now, a Smash stage comedy musical is in previews at Broadway's Imperial Theatre, where it will officially open on April 10th. But when the curtain rises, On the main stem Smash, it will be different from what aired on TV more than 10 years ago. Bob Martin, one half of the musical's book writing team, told Broadway News in the latest episode of Broadway Press Day with Ruthie Fireberg, "We didn't want to put the TV show on stage. What we were interested in doing was making a comedy about how to make a musical. So yes, we switched type of literary work, but we use many of the elements of the TV show, including the wonderful songs written by Mark Scheinman and Scott Whitman, to create an entirely new story that we hope will exist well alongside the original." The creators have said to think about the stage adaptation as part of a Smash multiverse. This world still includes Ivy Lynn, but co-book writer Rick Ellis joked that the character has been changed to protect the innocent. For the Broadway iteration, Ivy has been cast as Marilyn Monroe in a new biomusical about the late film star called Bombshell, and Karen Cutright is Ivy's understudy. Rick Ellis explains, Karen is a classic Broadway person. When big stars are cast, they usually come with their own dresser. They always use the same understudy, so the relationship between Ivy and Karen is nothing like it is in the TV show. We always really wanted to explore the understudy and the lead, and the partnership and the frustrations therein. And those aren't the only frustrations. Ivy, played by Robin Herder, also has an up-and-down relationship with her director, Nigel, played by Brooks Ashmanskas, and Herder said slyly, "I give him some problems." The Smash Company noted that the comedy of the production comes from the innate trials and ridiculousness in the process of making a new musical, and this Smash will offer theater lovers and novices alike a backstage look at the chaos. But whose idea was it to create a brand new Smash for Broadway? Producer Neil Maron claims that it was Steven Spielberg's idea, who said, "If we're going to bring Smash on stage, it should be a comedy."
That is the end of Task 2. Now, turn to Task 3, questions 13 to 20. You will listen to an interview. For questions 13 to 20, choose the correct answer, A, B, or C. Now you have 45 seconds to look at the questions for Task 3. Now we are ready to start. Listen carefully. You will hear the recording only once.
Greetings, dear listeners. I am pleased to introduce the guest of today's program, Andrea Zafirakou, an arts and textiles teacher in Brent, the UK's Global Teacher Prize winner. Andrea's work and approach to her work are very much extensions of her personality, always positive, solutions-focused, and finding the best in everything. Her art room is a place of safety, a place for young people to explore who they are and what they think about the world, a sanctuary of expression and creativity. Andrea sees art as a language-free method of communication. Working in a complex, economically deprived, and challenging part of the city, she has created space for children to work after school and has introduced classes on well-being for staff and students. We invited Andrea to find out more about her work, as well as her views on the teaching profession, how her life has changed since winning the prize, and what the future holds for her. Hi, Andrea. First of all, congratulations on winning the Global Teacher Prize, and I would like to ask you what inspired you to become a teacher?
Thank you very much for your congratulations. And as for the teaching profession, it wasn't a choice that I ever had to make. I think the only choice I had to make was when I was going to do it. When I was young, in my primary school, my teacher used to tell my parents that I was far too bossy, that I used to tell teachers how to do their job. It's just always been there. But what was quite important for me was to establish who I was first in terms of my own artistic profession, a researcher or an educator. After I graduated from university, I wanted to experience the different areas of the textiles industry so I could be clued up and savvy. I worked as a textile designer prior to undertaking my postgraduate certificate in education and have since taught for 13 years at Alperton Community School.
You work in an ethnically diverse area. How do cultural differences affect your approach to teaching?
I think it's the best part of my school because we've got an incredibly diverse mixture of nationalities. And what we're doing is helping the students socialize and learn about these different types of experiences that other students are having. Obviously, there are language barriers that we do experience, which can prevent a lot of the initial teaching and learning. But what we do to support that is we make sure we have staff in place, like bilingual teaching assistants, that can be the bridge to help them access that. But not only that, it's the way you teach in the classroom by having more visuals. What is key is making sure you are trying to bring in the cultures of your tutees within the delivery of your lessons.
As a teacher, what one thing do you need more of?
Time, for sure, because the day goes so quickly. And I think another thing teachers need more of is appreciation. Teachers work so hard. They work above and beyond. They work during vacations. They are inside doing additional classes, getting kids ready for their exams. Teachers do their job in such good faith. They don't want to get it wrong. They don't want to fail the kids at all. But on the other hand, they are working themselves to ground.
You are involved in work beyond the school gates, for example, with local police to ensure safe travel to and from school. Do you think it's important for teachers to extend their responsibilities to pupils outside of the classroom?
Teachers are working incredibly hard. The work that my teachers do after school and the hours they put in just blows me away. I'm a senior leader, so I have the pleasure of growing new staff, and the first thing I say to them is make sure you're building your relationships. And relationships sometimes happen outside the classroom. So going out and playing football at break time with them, sitting next to them while they're having lunch. These little things mean you're building up knowledge of the children, and you'll find that they really appreciate that. The children are being looked after and cared for. You're interested in them. They are not just a number. They don't feel like their journey there has no meaning.
Would you recommend teaching as a profession to a close friend or relative?
I have. I will always do that. I think it is the greatest job in the world. But they need to go in with eyes wide open about what it really is. Because it is hard, and it does not get easy. I'd say to them, speak to teachers. Work as a teacher, for example, for a week, to understand what it's like, and only then make a decision. Otherwise, you will not understand the specifics of this work.
What are the most important qualities you think a teacher should have?
They've got to be confident to show children how much they love their subject. And when they deliver it, they've got to show they are enthusiastic. Children want to have someone in front of them who is inspiring, whose eyes light up when they speak about something. I would also say you need to like children, to enjoy learning about their world and what triggers them to be motivated, and to be very humble as well.
What do you enjoy most about your job?
All of it. I love the challenges. I love seeing children grasp what I'm teaching and developing their own work, becoming really great individuals. I love it when my children graduate and they come back and become teachers. I'm actually working alongside people that I used to teach. And also, it's just such a fulfilling job. Even with the challenges we have to deal with, it's still worth it because you know you are making a difference. You are changing lives. You are developing people.
What's the best thing that has happened since you have won?
That is hard to answer. It's impossible to suggest just one. Every day is different. I have met and continue to meet the most amazing people. However, I'm very proud of the birth of Artists in Residence, charity organization, and the impact that it has had on our schools even after a few months.
What do you think are the biggest challenges for the arts in schools and cultural education generally?
The English Baccalaureate aims to ensure students have a broad and balanced curriculum, keeping options open for further study and future careers. But the impact and drive of English Baccalaureate have created a perception that the arts are not priority subjects. As a result, our students will be deterred from choosing the arts as they feel that they would not benefit from them in the future. However, on the contrary, it has been suggested in a report published by World Economic Forum called Future of Jobs that the skills required in the future are that of creativity, problem-solving, and critical thinking that are mostly developed in the arts subjects.
What are your personal goals for your teaching career in the next 5 to 10 years?
I think that the arts subjects bring some incredibly important skills which our children need when they graduate and compete for jobs on a global scale. What we need to do is get arts into school for every child. So I'm thinking of finding a way of bringing artists, musicians, designers, and filmmakers, these incredible creative industries and professionals who are doing fantastic jobs. I want them to come into school and show our children what it's like. And not only do that, maybe do some projects with them so children can grow.
We sincerely thank you, Andrea, and we wish you every success with the future growth and development of AIR.
That is the end of Task 3. Now you have 2 minutes to check and copy your answers onto the answer sheet. You have 30 seconds left. This is the end of the listening test. Thank you.